This is the first in a series of trainings on managing Montana's financial volatility. I'm Amy Carlson, Director of the Legislative Fiscal Division, and this is a short training that covers the high-level conclusions of the LFD study of the 2023 Biennium Outlook, or the 2023 budget. We'll begin with the current reserve balances and follow up with the 23 budget. We're going to start with the good news, which is that the reserve balances at the beginning of 2021 are very strong. In fact, a total of $624 million, or 24.7% of general fund revenues. We have $452 million in the general fund, $118 in the budget stabilization reserve fund, and $55 in the fire fund. A great place to begin. Those strong reserve balances will be affected by future revenues. This graphic shows you past revenues and then forecasts future revenues. You can see in the gold line the general fund actual revenue collections. They go from 18 up into 19 and then slightly down in 2020. The blue line across represents HJ2, or the 2019 sessions revenue estimate for 2019, 20, and 21. You can see that actual revenues for 19 and 20 both exceeded estimated revenues in HJ2. In 2021, we do not expect that we'll be that fortunate. Even in the optimistic scenario, the estimate is below HJ2, with a wide variation down to baseline, then even further into the pessimistic forecast. There are two major things affecting these forecasts and the variation between them. One is the economics forecast by IHS, our econometric firm. And secondly, the Federal CARES Act that affects not just federal revenues, but also affects state income tax revenues. For more information, you can read our report on that subject. So what do those revenues, along with some expenditure assumptions, how does that play out as far as revenues or reserve balances? You can see the baseline, they come out to about 400 million. Under the optimistic, they get about 600 million total. And under the pessimistic, it's only a little over 200 million total reserve balances. So quite a variation in the potential of reserve balances. And in just the general fund alone, you can see it drops considerably from the beginning of 21 to the baseline assumptions for the end of 21. To $193 million, or just slightly below the operating reserve level, but still substantially above the statutory minimum. Both of those terms will be described in some of the following trainings, and you can learn more about them there. So this slide tries to pull the revenues and expenditures together. So we're going to build the budget from the base. The base budget, or here, is the 2021 legislatively appropriated level of spending in 21, and then it's times 2, so you have it for 22 and then again for 23, so both years of the biennium. Note that this graphic starts at $4 billion because otherwise these numbers would be, or these slivers on the chart would be very small. So starting at about $5.15 billion, or the base level, you add to it what we call present law adjustments, or those are caseload and inflation items that are defined in statute and allowed to be included in what we call present law. There are also some inflation and caseload-like items that are not included in the present law definition, and they're included in this brighter blue area here we call pressures. And in addition to that, there's kind of what we're calling potential pressures, meaning there's probably going to be additional things beyond that. Again, you can find more details in the report, but this is kind of a recap of the total of the report. Bottom line, you can see the baseline revenues here are substantially less, or 3.7% less, than the combination of the base, the present law, and then the pressures. So finally, the next steps in budget development look something like this. In mid-November, the governor will propose a budget. In early December, the fiscal division will analyze it. On January 7th, the governor-elect budget is due, and then again, the fiscal division will analyze that. During session, the legislature will need to adopt not only a plan for balancing the budget, but also for providing for potential volatility over the next biennium. The trainings in this series demonstrate the different tools that are available to the legislature and how they work together. Good luck, and I hope you enjoyed this training.